I need to go test flight this thing before I forget, so it'll be good for next time. So this will be a good opportunity to go over the trimming stuff. For those of you who are not aware, you can trim planes that don't have trim in test flight. I'm going to do it now. First things first, for anyone who doesn't have trim control set up, you go here, trimming, get rid of this. Trim aircraft, delete that shit. It's stupid, don't use it. Elevator trim, double click it, open it up, go relative control yes, go relative control step, go 1%, go relative control sensitivity, go anywhere between like 30 and 50%. I think I got this on 30, it's whatever, it doesn't really matter. You just don't want 0% or 10%, you don't want 100%, you want somewhere nice and tight in the middle. For your elevator, it's going to be backwards. Increase value is going to be down, decrease value is going to be up. And then aileron, increase is right, decrease is left, same settings. Relative control yes, 30 to 50%, 1% on the relative control step. Rudder trim, same thing, except I do right control right and right control left. And then relative control yes, sensitivity, relative control step 1%. This is the most important thing. You want to move it 1% at a time, right? So once you get all that set up, the next thing you want to do is bind this key. It's not bound by default, but you want to bind it. It's trimmer's fixation. I have it set to Alt and T. You're not going to press it very often. These are the only instances you're ever going to use it, so you don't need it to be on something that's really easily accessible. I always just start my engine. I set it to a nice cruise throttle setting, 91%. You know, you don't want 100%. You want to trim for like a cruise speed, kind of what you're always climbing at. And just go ahead and do a normal takeoff. Another thing you want to be cognizant of is make sure you bring the no ordnance and the right amount of fuel. So you want to bring, like, I bring 30 minutes of fuel, but if you bring 45, bring 45. Just don't trim your aircraft with 15 minutes of fuel or anything like that. What's up, sitting duck? So you're going to take off, you're going to clean up your gear, clean up your flaps, and then you're going to hold nice, level, steady flight. Now I can see I'm kind of pulling back on the stick a bit, and I'm going left on the stick in order to maintain that horizon. So I'm going to start canceling that out with left trim and up elevator. And I'm going to start flying the plane, hands off the joystick here. I'm just going to start flying it with the arrow keys. And then once you kind of get, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you just want to negate a lot of, like if the plane's rolling like that, you want to cancel that out. But if it's drifting just ever so slightly, you're not building a piano here, you just want to get it kind of in the neighborhood, right? Once you get it to where it's kind of nice and steady, you want to take a look down here at your, you want to take a look at this black ball here, and just use control, and so the black ball's off to the left, so I need left rudder until I get that black ball in the center. And then you're going to need to cancel out some aileron trim, readjust your elevator trim, just kind of get the plane nice and steady one more time. And then take one more look at this ball down here. Looks like we need to take out some of that rudder trim. So we'll try like 4% rudder trim. Looks pretty good. Get the aileron trim figured out. And now you just kind of want to sit here and maintain a nice steady climb. Make sure you negate all that wing rolls, and you want to make sure that you're not accelerating or decelerating anymore. So I'm pretty steady here at 235 knots. My ball is centered up, my wings aren't rolling left or right, and I'm maintaining a steady 10 meter per second climb. This plane is trimmed. Now to save this, Alt and T, aileron position has been saved, rudder trim position has been saved, elevator position has been saved. Now every time I load this aircraft, this trim package will be loaded with it, and the plane will be kind of stable. The thing is, this trim only works at this speed and with this weight and under these conditions with this temperature. So if you change any of those conditions, it's going to kind of screw it up a little bit. That's why you're not trying to make it perfect, because it's not, you know, it is going to change with, you know, different weights and stuff like that. You're just trying to get in the general neighborhood so that you can let go of the stick and the plane doesn't do crazy stuff on you. So see, now I'm at 340 knots, and if I let go of the stick, I'm going to start getting a little bit of left roll there. But that's okay, because my plane is trying to return back to that cruise speed, and as it returns back to the cruise speed, that aileron roll is going to get evened out again. And while I'm at those high speeds, and you're like, and you're right on somebody, and you're gunning them, you're just going to need just a slight bit of aileron to cancel it out. So it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, exactly. We're not building a piano here. So that's how you trim a plane. That's how you save it. And it's very important that you got to do it for every single airplane that you want to fly. So that's why I had to do it for this one. I just bought it. And every time you buy a plane and you put it on a lineup, you've got to save some trim settings for it. And it will help you immeasurably, especially for like German planes and things that don't actually have adjustable trim in flight. It's a lot less important for like American planes and stuff like that, where you can adjust it in flight. And then also be aware that things like the Spitfire, you're not going to be able to adjust the ailerons because there are no aileron trim tabs. So this plane actually has trim tabs, even though they're not adjustable in flight. And there goes my alarm. Time to leave for work. Let's go ahead and